in the sun-drenched gated community of Pacific Palms, California, where palm trees swayed over manicured lawns and million-dollar homes gleamed with perfection. Life seemed idyllic. For Emily Harper, 34. This was the dream she'd worked hard to achieve. A former interior designer turned stay-at-home mom, Emily lived in a modern Spanish-style villa with her husband, Ryan Harper, 38, a tech entrepreneur whose startup had recently gone public, and their daughter, Lily, 6. The Harpers were the picture of success. Ryan's charm and Emily's impeccable taste made them the darlings of Pacific Palms' social circle. But beneath the surface, Emily's life was unraveling. Ryan's success came at a cost. His long hours at the office, late-night meetings, and constant travel left Emily feeling invisible. She filled her days with yoga classes, PTA meetings, and decorating their home. But the loneliness was suffocating. Ryan, when he was home, was distracted, his mind always on the next deal. Emily craved connection, a spark to remind her of the vibrant woman she used to be. Enter Caleb Monroe, 35, the new neighbor who moved into the sleek modernist house next door. Caleb was a mystery from the start, tall, with sharp features, a neatly trimmed beard, and piercing gray eyes that seemed to see right through you. He introduced himself as a freelance photographer, recently relocated from New York, with a charming smile and a dry wit that made Emily laugh for the first time in months. Caleb's arrival sent a ripple through Pacific Palms, his late-night parties and the parade of glamorous guests, models, artists, and the occasional musician, made him the subject of whispered gossip at the community clubhouse. Emily first met Caleb while gardening in her front yard, her hands dusted with soil as she planted lavender. He strolled over, a camera slung around his neck, and complimented her flowers with a grin that made her blush. Their conversation was effortless. He teased her about her suburban uniform, of yoga pants and a messy bun. And she shot back, calling him a city slicker, lost in the suburbs. Over the next few weeks, their chance encounters turned into a routine. Caleb would wave from his driveway, or they'd chat over the fence about everything from Lily's school projects to his latest photography gig. Emily felt a flicker of excitement she hadn't known in years. One evening, as Ryan was away on yet another business trip, Caleb invited Emily over for a glass of wine, saying he'd just developed some photos from a recent shoot in Joshua Tree. She hesitated. Lily was at a sleepover, and the house felt emptier than ever, but curiosity won. Caleb's home was a stark contrast to hers, minimalist, with black and white prints on the walls and a record player spinning jazz. They laughed over stories of his chaotic New York days, and when he brushed a strand of hair from her face, Emily didn't pull away. That night, their flirtation became a full-blown affair, a dangerous game that made her feel alive. The affair consumed Emily. She and Caleb met whenever Ryan was away, at his place, in her car parked on a quiet street, or even in her own home. The thrill of risk fueling their passion. Caleb was attentive, passionate, everything Ryan wasn't. He listened to her dreams of opening her own design studio, encouraging her in ways Ryan never had. Emily knew it was wrong, but she couldn't stop. She told herself it was temporary, a rebellion against her hollow life. But each stolen moment with Caleb pulled her deeper. Pacific Palms, however, was a small world, and secrets didn't stay buried. Neighbors began to notice. Mrs. Larson, the WA president, saw Emily leaving Caleb's house at odd hours. Mr. Patel, walking his dog, spotted them laughing too closely at the community pool. Whispers spread, but Emily was too caught up to care. That is, until Ryan came home early from a trip. His face pale as he confronted her with a photo someone had slipped under their door. Emily and Caleb kissing in his driveway. The image grainy but unmistakable. Emily's heart stopped. Ryan didn't shout. He was eerily calm, his voice cold as he demanded the truth. She confessed, tears streaming, begging for forgiveness. But Ryan wasn't interested in reconciliation. He left that night, saying he needed space, leaving Emily to drown in guilt. She turned to Caleb for comfort, but he seemed distant, his charm replaced by a nervous edge. We need to be careful, he said, avoiding her gaze. Emily, desperate for answers, began to dig into Caleb's life. Her instincts screaming that something was wrong. Her search led to a horrifying revelation. Using a spare key Caleb had left at her house, she let herself into his home while he was out. In a locked drawer, she found a burner phone, fake IDs, and a file with her name on it. Caleb wasn't a photographer, he was Daniel Carter, an escaped convict with a history of armed robbery and assault. He'd been on the run for 2 years, hiding in Pacific Palms under a false identity. Worse, the file revealed he'd targeted Emily deliberately, using her affair to gain access to her home. Ryan's startup had developed a cutting-edge security system, and Caleb had been hired by a rival company to steal its prototype, which Ryan kept in a safe in their study. Emily's world shattered. The man she'd risked everything for had played her from the start, exploiting her loneliness for his own gain. But the nightmare deepened when Caleb returned, catching her with the file. His charming facade dropped, replaced by a chilling menace. "You shouldn't have done that," he said, stepping closer. Emily, terrified, pleaded with him, but Caleb had no intention of letting her go. He forced her to open the safe, threatening Lily's safety if she refused. With no choice, Emily complied, her hands shaking as she handed over the prototype. Just as Caleb prepared to flee, Ryan burst through the door, followed by 2 private investigators he'd hired after suspecting Caleb's intentions. A struggle ensued. Ryan tackled Caleb, the prototype skittering across the floor. Emily, acting on instinct, grabbed a heavy lamp and smashed it over Caleb's head, knocking him out. The investigators restrained him as sirens wailed in the distance, the police arriving to arrest Caleb for his crimes, both past and present. But the fallout was devastating. Ryan, though he'd saved Emily, couldn't forgive her betrayal. He filed for divorce, taking Lily with him to San Francisco. Pacific Palms turned on Emily, the once beloved neighbor now a pariah, her affair the talk of every cocktail party. Emily, left with nothing, sold the villa and moved to a small apartment in Los Angeles. Trying to rebuild her life, she started her design studio, pouring her pain into her work. But the scars of Caleb's deception lingered. One secret remained hers alone. In Caleb's file, she'd found a letter he'd never sent, written to her. "I didn't mean to fall for you, Emily." That part was real. She tore it to pieces. But the words haunted her, a reminder of the game she'd played and lost. The story ends with Emily standing in her new studio, a sketch of a home on her easel, not the villa she'd lost, but a fresh start. Pacific Palms was a distant memory, its gates forever closed to her. She didn't know if she'd ever heal, but she was determined to try.